Now we're going to question 14, and 14 is asking us which quotation would best support the student's assertion. And what's the assertion? Let's start reading. Fish whose DNA had been modified to include genetic material from other species are known as transgenic. Some transgenic fish have genes from jellyfish that result in fluorescence. Although these fish were initially engineered for research purposes in the 90s, they were sold as pets in the 2000s and can now be found in the wild in creeks in Brazil. A student in a biology seminar who's writing a paper on these fish asserts that their escape from Brazilian fish farms into the wild may have significant negative long-term ecological effects. So we're hearing about transgenic, which are the fish who have the genetic material from other species, and some of them are glow-in-the-dark. They have fluorescence, and they were initially engineered for research purposes, but they were sold as pets, and they ended up out in nature, which is really alarming. So the claim is now that a student is writing a paper and saying that that escape is going to have significant environmental effects. So we're looking for an answer that says that finding the fish in nature is damaging the environment somehow. So let's read. A says, in one site in the wild where transgenic fish were observed, females outnumbered males, while in another, the number of female and males were equivalent. Not seeing anything here about environmental damage. B, though some presence of transgenic fish in the wild has been recorded, there are insufficient studies of the impact of those fish on the ecosystems into which they're introduced. Once again, there's no mention of the damage there. Now, if there's no better choice, I would pick this one because it's saying we need to study further the ecological damage. So let's save that one for now. C, the ecosystems into which the transgenic fish are known to have been introduced may represent a subset of the ecosystems into which the fish have actually been introduced. I would take that answer over B because it's saying that although we know that the fish have been introduced in some areas, they have actually been introduced into a lot more areas. That's just a subset, and that's kind of alarming. So far, I like C better than B. And D, through interbreeding, transgenic fish might introduce the trait of fluorescence into wild fish populations, making those populations more vulnerable to predators. Right there, we're seeing ecological effects. So answer choice D is saying that the fluorescence is making its way into wild fish populations, and therefore the predators are noticing them more, and it's throwing off the environment, it's throwing off the ecology. So D is the answer we've been looking for all along.